I don't know why I'm making yet another TBR this month, but here we are! Hello and welcome to my channel, The Danish Readaholic. Today I am making an A-Z TBR. The idea with this TBR is that these are books that I would have liked to read within the next year, and there is one for every single letter, except for a select few, but I will get into that when we get there. So I think without further ado, we should just get started because I do have a couple of books to talk about. Let's start with A. For A, I went with Air Awakens by Elise Kova. When I was looking at the books that I had that started with A, this was just the one that I was drawn to. And also I know that this is a fairly long series, and I have just been really intrigued by Elise Kova's books, so I feel like this is a good place to start. For me, it was kind of an obvious choice for A, because it just seems really cool and really interesting, and I do believe that this has something to do with elemental magic, and I love that, and it's been a while since I've read about elemental magic. For B, I went with Blood Cyan. This is on my TBR for this month, and at this point, I don't know if I have read it or not. This is one of the ones that I'm really wanting to read this month, so I might have already read it by the time that this video goes up. But as of right now, I have not read it, so it is going on this list. I do believe that this has something, like this might have a morally gray main character, or at least someone who is portrayed by her people, her village, her hometown, her wherever. They kind of make her into be this monster. This is what they deserve. They wanted me to be a monster. I will be the worst monster they ever created. And that alone is just enough to make me want to read this ASAP. Next up we have C. I really want to read Caraval really soon because I want to be able to finish the series and Once Upon a Broken Heart to figure out if I should get the second one in the new series in the Fairy Loot edition. I'm not sure I will be able to because that will be put up for sale in August, which means that I would have to read the entirety in July. It is possible, and I am gonna attempt it, but we'll see what my game allows. I might also get distracted and forget that I have said this and that I've wanted to read it, so there is also that possibility. Next up we have D, and for that I went with Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levinseller. I have really been wanting to read more of Tricia Levinseller's books, and I know that my best friend Caitlin is in love with everything that she writes, and especially this series. I want to read it. So this was, again, it felt like an obvious choice to go for Daughter of the Pirate King for D. Then we have E, and that was where I began to struggle a little bit because I didn't have that many books that started with E that I could pick. A bunch of them were sequels where I haven't read the first one, and I felt like it wouldn't make sense to put a sequel where I haven't put the first one on here or I haven't read the first one. So I actually ended up only having one choice. I might have had more, but there was only one of them that I actually wanted to read. Empire of the Vampire. Chunker. But I am excited for this one. I am just intimidated by the size of it, so I think I will like it. I don't know, but I think I will. Next up we have F, and that is Furyborn by Legrand. I believe that this follows two queens in two separate timelines, and I know that this is very hit or miss with people. Like, I know that some people absolutely love it and some people cannot follow along because it switches back and forth in time, and I've heard that it might be a little bit unclear as to when we are in which time period. So I'm kind of excited to see what I think of it, because the one other time where I read something where the timeline was switched, I did not like it and I was confused, but that was a different type of timeline where we would have one story going backwards and one going forwards. This is just set in two different times. I might like it. I might get confused, but this is my pick for F. Then we have G, and I decided to go with Go the Distance by Jen Calanita. This is one of the Twisted Tales, and this follows, well, Hercules, but it says, what if Meg had to become a Greek god? And I freaking love Meg, and I love Hercules, so I have high hopes for this. Also, I do really want to continue with the Twisted Tales. I think the reason that I haven't is because the only one that I have read I didn't really like, so it was a bad start for me, but I am definitely gonna try some more of them, and this one is high on the list. Then we have H, and I decided to go with House of Dragons by Jessica Clewis. This is like, I don't want to say a trial, but like a magical competition. We have the liar, the soldier, the servant, the thief, and the murderer. And yes, please, let me have it. Yes. Next up, we have I, and I chose a middle grade for this. I went with Ice Wolves, simply because I am still really intrigued by this. I've had it for quite a while, and I know that this is a trilogy, and I just really want to see what I think of this. I remember that we followed a set of twins, and one is chosen to be an ice wolf and one is chosen to be a scorched dragon, and they're kind of confused as to why they're not chosen for the same thing, because they're siblings, they're twins. I'm also really intrigued. Like, I want to know why they're not in the same thing. It says that ice wolves and scorched dragons live deeply separate lives, and it is basically an elemental form that they take. So why they were chosen for two separate things is really a mystery to me, so I am really intrigued by this book, and that is why Ice Wolves goes for my eye. Next up we have J. I only had one option, so we're going with Jade Fire Gold by June Siltan. And I'm actually not mad about it. I know I said like I only had one option, but that's because I did. But I'm not mad about the option that I had. I mean, it could have gone a lot worse. I am intrigued by this. This is just not one of the books that I have gravitated towards, and that might be a mistake, because I felt like that with These Violent Delights, and I felt like that with Year of the Reaper, actually. Don't know what motivated me to pick it up, because I don't think it was a game. But I felt like that with Year of the Reaper as well, so this might be another case of that. Next up we have K, and once again I kind of only had one option, but I'm not even mad about it, because it is Kingdom of the Cursed by Miniscalco. I'm gonna try and read this close to the release of the third book, so that I can kind of try and read them back to back and actually finish a goddamn series for once. This is actually a series that I'm really intrigued by, and when I read the first book, I really loved it, wanted to continue with the sequel right away. I wasn't able to because it wasn't released, so I kind of wanted to stretch this out and wait a little bit longer until I'm closer to the release of the third one, and then I will read the first two. The first one I have already read, so that will be a reread, but then I will read this and hopefully read the third one once I get it. Then we get to L, and for that I went with Lake's Edge, which is by Lyndall Clipstone, and this is one of my most recent editions. I don't know a damn thing about it, except for the fact that it looks freaking awesome, and it starts with an L, so I'm gonna put it on here. I actually don't know what it's about. I must have at some point, because I bought it. Next up we have M. We all know when my random letter generator gave me an M for the title that I don't have that many M books, so we're putting Master of One on here. Of the two that I decided to have like a poll between, so Master of One and Mirage, I am actually more intrigued by Master of One, because it feels like it has this found family, and we're going on a quest to find these relics, and it just sounds a little bit more up my alley than Mirage did. That is why Master of One found its way on here. Also because this is, well, it's not one of the first fairy loots, let's be honest, but it's one of the fairy loots that I've had for a longer while now that I haven't read, and I am actually just really wanting to get through them, all of the older ones. Next up we have N, and I decided to go for Namesake, simply again because I didn't really have anything else that fit. Namesake. Also because this is the conclusion to the Fable duology, and I really want to finish it, because once again I could tick off another series and I really need to start doing that. I am putting Namesake on this year-long TBR in the hopes of me actually fulfilling it for once. That would be cool. That will be something new, something unexpected, something we have never seen before. Wow. Next up we have O, and that is Only a Monster by Vanessa Len. Now, why did I decide to pick this? I actually don't know. I was between this one and Odin's Child, and I feel like this was just a little bit more intriguing to me, and I can't tell you why, because I don't know. It might have also had something to do with the fact that this is a little bit shorter, and also it is a fairy loot, so I do want to get through it. Then we have P, and this is where we completely delete the part of the title. The Puppy War. I have heard this described as like a book that you give 5 stars when you're really, really picky with your 5 stars. I'm not picky with my 5 stars. Like, I don't give them out to every single book. I have gotten better with that since using the call pile, but I am still not very picky with it. I believe that so far I've had 3 5 stars this year, which isn't a lot compared to the other years where I've actually been rating books. But this one is supposed to be like, if you never give 5 stars, this would be a 5 star, or at least that is what I've heard. So that alone really intrigues me. Next up we have R, and I think most people might already know what I'm picking. I am gonna go for Romanov by Nadine Brandes. I am in love with Anastasia and all of the Anastasia vibes, and I'm hoping that that is all I will get from this, and I'm pretty sure I will. I mean, it is called Romanov. If I don't get Anastasia, Romanov, Tsar vibes from this, I'm quitting. Like, I'm giving up. Romanov is on here. Hopefully I will actually get to this soon, because I want to. You might have noticed that I skipped Q. That's because I don't have anything. So I will talk more about the ones that I don't have any books for in the end. Next up we have S, and I decided to go for Shielded. As you might have heard by now in one of my other TBRs, I don't remember which one I said it in, I have not been wanting to pick up Shielded, and when I got it in my fairy loot I was like, oh well, fine, it seems decent. And for some reason I am really motivated to pick it up now, so that is why I'm putting this on my TBR. It might come back to like bite me in the ass, but here we are, and I'm putting Shielded on my TBR. Well, technically all of my books are on my TBR, but like on my A-Z TBR. Next up we have T. I decided to go for Thornwood because I am really intrigued by the premise. In this we follow the sister of Sleeping Beauty, and this is like an ongoing series where we follow the siblings of these big fairy tale characters. So I believe that the next one will be Cinderella's little sister, or big sister, little sister, I believe. And I just really, really like the idea of all of them having sisters that we just don't hear anything about. In this one we follow, as I said, Sleeping Beauty's little sister, and I am really intrigued to see what they do with it. Next up we have You, and I decided to go for Unbirthday by Liz Braswell. I am intrigued by that, so that is why Unbirthday found its way on my A-Z TBR. Next up we have V, and I decided to go for Vespertine. I only had one book, but Vespertine is definitely a book that I want to get to soon. I have heard great things, and every time I've talked about it on my channel, somebody has commented that they really liked Vespertine. This has mostly been in my first line because the first line itself isn't that strong, but people have already said that it is a great book and they think I will like it, so I am putting Vespertine on here. I don't know a damn thing about it, I just know that it's pretty and I like it and I'm excited. Next up we have W, and I decided to go for Warrior of the Wild by Tricia Levinseller. I am just beyond excited for this book, and I don't really have many comments because I have talked about it I think already twice this month, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. So for Q, X, Y, and Z, I don't have any books that fit. So if you have any recommendations for books that starts with Q, X, Y, or Z, please let me know down in the comments. I think that was actually it for my TBR for this, and it will be kind of fun to go back in a year's time and see if I have read these. I might do it again next year and do a separate or a new TBR in the same video, so reacting and making a new TBR for this, because I did find it kind of fun, and once again it kind of forces me, similarly to the first line, it forces me to pick up books that I wouldn't have thought of simply because I might not have another choice for that specific letter. So that was, for example, the case with Empire of the Vampire, Vespertine, and so on and so forth. It is books that I am excited for, but they weren't my first picks. I think this is it for now, so thank you so much for watching. Please, as I said, leave a comment telling me any recommendations you have with books starting with Q, X, Y, and Z. If you don't have any recommendations but still want to let me know that you're here, you can always leave a green heart. If you like this video, please hit the like icon, and if you want to see more of my bookish content, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It will mean the world to me. And until I see you next time, bye!